We have 4 spots in PEL Phase 1 2020 and only 3 more days left to secure them. Like Red Eye said, we have some of the best contenders teams battling it out with 4 of our lowest finishing PEL teams, and it's all to play for. You've seen a recap of the cool action, and now here at the desk, let's get a little bit more into what happened there. The standout performance, Tempest. Why was it so impressive yesterday?
Obviously because of Danish. Full Danish lineup, what can you say? I mean, these guys are showing. Now, to get a bit more serious, these guys obviously, they've worked hard to get here. They had a rough time actually in Contenders. They were really unlucky. Some of the guys lost the internet. Some of the guys had to move his PC physically to his friend's house so he could play. And they had some rough times. But I actually think
and we're talking mid-game as
we're talking mid-game and stuff like that. So it's obviously some tilting stuff for them. But coming in here, they're extremely prepared. I had the pleasure of talking a bit with them yesterday. And they were extremely prepared, and they really grinded coming into. So they were warmed up, and they played the games extremely well. I gotta say, some of the executions, some of the macro plays were just picture perfect.
They play very well, but at the same time, it's either a high or a low. We see them with 3 wins yesterday, but at the same time, we also saw them with 2 really bad games. We're talking about one of the games they had 2 points, the other game they had 1 point. Now, this is something we call a bad game, when you have 0 to 2 points in a game. And you don't want to have those. At the same time, they have a really good lead with 3 wins and 2 bad games. And that's the thing, right? The bad games, we talk about it a lot, but if you can win 3 other games, it doesn't really matter if you have 2 bad games.
3 chicken dinners doesn't matter if you have those 2 bad games. It's like you said. I want to pull something that you mentioned there, though, where they were having to carry their PCs to their friend's house, because Contenders is not at a LAN. They're playing online. Very big change now when you walk into that big PEL arena.
Obviously, and that's going to come with some pressure as well. Some of these guys, they're playing at home, maybe on not as good PC. We have some monster PCs here, obviously, because of some of our sponsors or some of the support. So some of these guys, and actually a few of them, they're like, oh my god, this is insane. I'm playing on a monster PC, and it's feeling so good compared to what they're playing at home, because maybe they don't have the same funds to play, and maybe the same funds to play or buy PCs.
One big thing from this is that some of the players are actually meeting each other for the first time here, even playing in the same team
and that's great.
For maybe a year or 2. Now, that's something that is huge, because you're not just meeting them for the first time, but you're spending the whole day for a few days here now together with them. You don't know how they are in real life and stuff like that, and you gotta get into that as well. I mean, you're sharing rooms, some of them as well.
If someone has bad healthy habits and you're sharing a room, this could end teams as well, but we'll just ignore that for now. You see the standings there, and PG18 sitting in that bottom spot, finished first in Contenders. What happened to them yesterday?
Let's talk about that. They had 4 bad games. Again, 0 to 2 points per game. That was 4 of those. And that's why they're down there. But at the same time, we saw them play very well. Already in the first game, they took a really good position on the high ground on the east side of San Martin there, just south of it. Now, what they couldn't do from there was getting any kills. So they just need to be a little bit more like on the edge when it comes to that. They want to be able to take the kills with the position they get as well.
I definitely feel like they're not utilizing the raw power they have, because some of these guys are absolutely amazing shooters. They are extremely capable of getting those kills. And even that game that Frost talked about, like they're getting 0-1 kill in that game, even considering their power position where they're able to get a lot more.
You mentioned those sponsors and the support, the fancy PCs, and of course all the players getting to play on those Samsung curved monitors as well. This is what it's about. This is what they want. They want to get into PEL. They want to be playing on those machines every single week. Talking about PEL though, 4 teams from PEL here. How did they perform yesterday?
Well, obviously ENCE. We saw some really good tendencies for them yesterday. Their macro play was actually really on point there. Managed to get a 3rd, 4th, and 1st place. Sitting in 4th currently. Yeah, I have high hopes for them. If they continue what they did yesterday, I actually think they'll be doing even better. Maybe be able to catch up a bit to Timbers. But the other ones, though, kind of a different story. Digital, GamerLegion, both on 26 and 25 points, so they're kind of mid-pack. Still able with a good game to make it into the top 4, but they need to be more consistent.
There's a little bit of mistakes happening, and it's because like they don't really know the teams as well, and they're not expecting the teams to be in those positions where they get caught off guard from the contender teams. So that's one of the big reasons. Now they had 1 day, they had 5 maps to adjust to that right now. So hopefully we'll see more coming up from the PEL teams today.
When you mentioned that though, that they didn't know the teams, they have to adjust. at an advantage coming from PEL because you have the coaching staff, you have a base here? Are they going to be able to adapt faster than maybe some of the contenders teams?
So I actually had the pleasure of talking with some of these guys, obviously, while they're here. And what they, for the most important part is they feel like, so the PEL teams feel like that the lobby is slower compared to PEL, so they have a bit more space and a bit more time to play some of the stuff, so that if they're greedy enough, they're actually managing to take some of these really good spots. And obviously for the contenders on the other part, they also have an advantage being able to know some of these teams. They know the 11 other teams. So
one other example is talking a little bit with the PEL teams is that normally in PEL, if you start shooting at someone when they're passing you, those teams would just stop and they would start shooting back at you. Here instead, we see the teams, they just keep on driving. They don't want to take the fight, they don't want to risk anything. But PEL teams, it's totally different. That's why it's such an adjustment for the PEL teams. Not just your normal play style, but everything more or less. You have to adjust that right now.
I want to go back to yesterday, and when you mentioned that the driving around, there was a very specific moment with Airstation Mike that we saw. For those that did watch yesterday, what happened there? Because I know you guys got a chance to speak to the teams.
I'll keep it short here. They tried to make us send it, full send, and
they panicked.
It was too late. We talked to them, and they actually panicked. So
they panicked. We hope they don't do it today. Pansy, D-Man, how do you think that day 2 is going to play out?
We will see. Will some of the tried and tested teams be able to step back up? Or will it be Tempest dominating once again? Here we go as we head back to Miramar. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I know there's many things going on in the world today, so we do value your eyeballs as you sit and watch some top quality PUBG action. And Lauren is joining me for this one. And again, it's a deep south play. This is a horrible route. What's going on?
Yeah, this is going to be tough for those teams heading way further north. Even just the central areas are now going to be under pressure. We don't see many teams heading south here in this lobby, it feels like. So again, this could be a bit of a rough one for some of these teams who aren't used to having to deal with this potentially against maybe a bit of a varied lobby. That could be a big factor. So again, could change things out. Could make a couple of teams very uncomfortable, maybe go for their backup drop locations. I don't know how many of the contender teams have very comfortable backup drop locations, because this is going to be maybe a little bit of a different look to the lobby we saw from yesterday. But my eyes will instantly be looking at the likes of Tempest out there. These guys really got my attention. The way they played Erangel was just perfect. They did get the, the World Tour underway, so they are looking brilliant going forward, but plenty of other teams certainly stepping up. But I'm looking for those PEL teams to find a bit more form themselves, because as kind of alluded to on the desk, they were missing. They've been slacking, that's for sure. Guys, if you have just joined us and you maybe followed some of the many Twitter links, etc., that have gone out there, obviously from the various social medias, this is all about trying to get promotion into the PEL, the PUBG European League that we're playing back in 2020. Obviously, we finished off the season. This is the final season. And how it's worked is we've had 12 teams come up from Contenders, which is almost the second division, and 4 teams, the lowest 4 teams from the 16 teams that took part in PEL. And they are all fighting for 4 new slots back into the back in the PEL next season. So it's really all about, and when I say that, what that includes is obviously, your salaried teams then. The teams also get paid for, obviously, accommodation here. So we're looking at gaming houses and stuff. It's a career. It is a career. It is a massive move for these players. Obviously, some of these guys have been grinding it for the last 2 years in PUBG, in various tournaments online, etc. But now they're here, they're all in Berlin, and they're fighting for their careers, effectively. Exactly that. And some of these teams will have already had the taste of it. They'll have known what it's like to have this, and that's why they really do want to maintain their spots. But coming into this, I think a lot of people who watched the Contenders, you guys at home, I know the fans are definitely out there for some of these teams. I see it in chat, I see it everywhere. They're very supportive. And one of those teams that has not turned up is PG18. You can't get past it. Yes. Look at those standings. 11 points. And they were tip-top during Contenders. They looked wonderful. They looked very good. Very solid team. You look at the players. Good names. Did not deliver yesterday. And I'll give you a day. I'll let you have one bad day. But any more than that, you don't have enough play days. To really bring it home, PG18 have the Wanderer on their team. A player that got 10 kills alone in one match of Phase 2. That's 1 point less than they have entirety of yesterday on 5 maps. It was really a terrible, terrible day. We've seen worse. We have.
Raise Your Edge set the record
True.
with the 1 point. Don't think anyone's going to match that.
No.
But we never know. Airstation Mike, another team that came in fairly hyped up, didn't have the greatest of days. In all honesty, they kind of were rubbing shoulders with PG18 a lot yesterday.
And that, I did think about that, and I did consider it. I think for me, the one thing I liked about Airstation Mike is they didn't look completely flat, at least. They looked like they were willing to fight. They had some really nice engagements. They had a couple of good ones on Sanhok, for example. But it's that consistency that we didn't see, that overall dominance that obviously Tempest brought to the server. Now, PG18 on the other side, if you want to flip that coin for teams who haven't performed to what I expected so far, PG18 did look flat for me. They didn't have anything that stood out going, right, there's their strength that maybe was just unfortunate. This should be a good circle for them, considering they're currently looting on the East Coast, and it's an eastern-bearing circle. So if they're going to do well, it has to be here. Again, not sure on rotation route for some of these teams. It could be varied. It could be a little different. We do see the earlier rotations, teams who really want to vie for that more centralized spot, already heading through. So your GamerLegion, your Tempest, a couple of the others are already in that area, but they're the ones I'm seeing already trying to move through towards those more paramount compounds. Yeah, the Joker's definitely taking themselves a big northern route. Obviously, with it being such a deep south plane, they've finally ended up in La Cabrera and looting everything up there. So if they do continue to swing around the north, as are Tornado Energy, they're going to have themselves a lot of free space up there, almost from you know, Hacienda upwards is completely open. Obviously, Al-Azhar, based on the fact that it was such a deep south plane path. Now, if the circle shifts, now we saw some pretty heavy circle shifts yesterday. If it bounces up to that north, it's going to get very messy. Although, that said, it could almost be just a domino effect of everyone just shuffles up in one, en masse, effectively. Yeah, I think I want to start looking at the teams who adapt well to those hard shifts for me. And I think the desk kind of hit on it yesterday with stylistically how the lobbies may go. If you have a lot of centralized teams, how do you then play maybe a game where you're forced to play edge game? Do you then have to kind of frag out to work your way forward? You know, does that work with the style of team that you are? It's good to see that kind of meta change almost. We'll see if that comes through. Again, I'm still looking to see this lobby find its form as such. See, you know, how do they like to play it? I know the desk said that they were a little bit more passive in certain areas, or is a little bit calmer for the PEL teams. In response to maybe getting as many kind of replies. If you get the engagement, it's not quite as instantaneous or as pressured. But for me, I think these guys are very willing to fight. I saw a lot of those scrappier fights that may have been walked away from by potentially our normal PEL teams. But again, I guess you have to look at it this way. It's a 20-game weekend. I think around like the Phase 2, Phase 3 area, we were looking at a lot of fights where the circle had pulled away from them and they stayed in the exchange where... Oh, dear. He's had a mare there. He's got it. Oh, and he's getting shot at as well. Actually, tell a lie, that's example as his teammate shooting. Yeah, a lot of teams where they were kind of just sticking it out, and it was effectively mutually assured destruction, whereas you may see some of the top PEL teams just sort of peel away from the fight before it almost even begins, because they read the situation saying, well, if the circle pulls away, there's no point being engaged here, because it doesn't do either of us any good. Yeah. And so we'll see whether, obviously, that continues or not. This was up in the north side, by the way. These guys are exchanging, Train Hard, the French team, and Tornado Energy, the Russians, trying to exchange blows in the top there. Again, there should be enough room for these teams if they scout correctly, if they take their time, if they're aware of where they're coming in from and their rotation routes, that there shouldn't be too many issues. There's plenty available. I like what Seven have done, right? So they've obviously come from the south, but what they're doing is taking the far eastern road. There's nobody there, and they're going to go swing up towards the hillside by Al-Azhar. And, I mean, sure, the circle could go south, but at the moment, they have everything available to them in the entirety of the northeast circle. They can get there first. They certainly can. Good little springboard for them, if required. See, everyone's still alive, almost 8 minutes in. Not too much to be writing home about. The circle is uncomfortable just because it has that northern lean, but more than that, there's not much more to be worried about for now. I think most teams are somewhat comfortable. I would say Airstation might quite split up here. Bit of a brave split. If someone gets knocked, it may not be recoverable, and then you have to weigh up the balance of, is it worth it for the ground they're controlling? It may be to them. So, and it could also just be necessary for the area they're currently in. I mean, if they're in an area that demands that you keep vision across multiple angles, that's fair enough, 2-2 split. for ELGIGANTEN there. They're fine. Again, GamerLegion just on the outskirts here, utilizing that hillside. So everyone kind of just playing it out. We don't see too many massive splits. I would say that Airstation Mike's one is a little bit scary to me.
Yeah, and obviously it's the phase 1 circle. It's massive, so everybody's inside. Crate down south in the water, so we're not going to get any usage of that one. The Joker's coming down on the north side. They do have last crew that have took a big rotate coming sort of in near them. They were Monte Nuevo, El Pozo way, so they've took a bit of a divert. They might find themselves clashing with Tornado Energy if they're not careful. Where do we go then, Lauren? Where are we going here? We're pulling away from Los Leones, obviously. Yeah, we're going to pull away from the water. It is a northeast. Okay.
Azahar's in play now. You'd imagine that little hillside overlooking it could be quite nice there.
Trainhard are just going to shuffle to that compound, and that's perfect.
Yeah, this is the shuffle. This is where you're going to see the teams who were kind of more centralized have to kind of leapfrog up, but they should get a good pick. Trainhard have a really nice compound to play with. I think ENCE are quite close by, though. They're on the lower side of it. Yeah. 7 maintain great deals of territory. The Jokers could be getting a bit of an engagement if anyone pulls up on it. But again, we're used to seeing teams not pull up on these scenarios and then play for position later on. Yeah. And we've learned that that may not be the case for some of these teams, that they will pull up and they will commit to fights that could then bite them down the line.
Jupix managed to roll his vehicle.
Oh, beautiful
Good guy, Encelenso.
Oh, wait,
the veteran
Mitraleius.
Making it work for him there. Mitraleius getting caught out. That is over on the western edge of the circle. Hacienda way. So
he's quite alone. The team could recover. I think Mert and SIXMO are on the way for it, but that was quite a shot.
Yeah, that's from a distance. That's from Graveyard he got shot from, so decent size shot. Quickmouth still up in that hills, getting lit up by Tornado Energy and the Jokers and Airstation Mike. Multiple angles, so not in the safest territory, and that is the problem in this. Jokers are going to move around. They're almost taking the phase route from this circle that I've seen before, where they come up that hillside. It gives them a lot of coverage. Their only downside is that last crew at the other side of the valley, and if they pull up on the hill, the edge side, they'll have a clean shot at them.
Yeah, ELGIGANTEN are about to yoink a really good position here as well.
Yeah.
Beautifully centralized. Again, most
I think
teams
that's what Jokers were heading for, right?
It looked like they were trying for it, and they maybe got kind of stumbled on the way there. I would say most teams are going to avoid Azahar just purely because it's unlikely to go there. Minas Generales, again, this is just from what we've kind of come to know, and Orange just got run over. Not sure what's...
Unity are trying to keep their high kill figures that they had yesterday. And Octave is just happy that he's not been the first to die for once.
That is very true. He's maintaining. Let's see if this does get flushed.
There's some good shots coming on him. That's it. That is last crew. So this is what I was talking about with Joker's split. They've gone for this 2-2 split either side of the Valley Road. And it's almost trying to cover the other two on the other side. But the problem is they're just getting pushed up on. That's going to be well short. He's not going to say that's... No, we're never going to get it. But now Set's been caught out. That's it. That's 2 down for Jokers.
That's really good.
It also puts the other two members that are the other side of that valley in trouble.
Yeah, it really does. This then kind of applies so much more pressure on them, and it kind of forces them to play a game style where you can't be actively engaging. And we're seeing a lot of high kill winners here, so you can't really just be doing that. Again, it could all change here. Teams could calm down into more of a normal style. I'm looking at GamerLegion too. Yeah. Let's remember the way they played out that final game in PL. They were nervous. They were not taking risks. They were very, very passive. And I hope this doesn't haunt them now. I hope they can kind of just have a plan in mind and execute it and keep playing this well. They are being quite passive on the southeast side. Unity just about going to make it out of the blue now, very far down by Impala. But again, looking at who's centralized here and who's got the big slices of the pie, ELGIGANTEN, wonderful spot here.
So this is the route that 7 took in the last phase. They read this circle well and said, you know what, if it goes this way, it was a south plane, we're going to have ourselves all this territory to worry about. We don't have G2 up here in the lobby, so we don't have to worry about them coming down on our heads. It does pull heavily, though, to the western side. Minas Generales heavily in this. He may even pull down to it now with seeing that much of Minas Generales in there. You never know. Airstation Mike are loving life because obviously, you know, Minas Generales, it's a 3-tiered sort of town effectively. So a lot of height to play with that Northern Lights are sort of going across and covering themselves off. But who's screwed out of this one? Tempus, they're in trouble. They're in the downside. They can actually, it could work out well for Tempus though, because that road down the, you just see where Minas Generales, Tempus are just below that right now. You see on the screen. They could just play that edge, and there's no one behind them. So all they have is this big lip in front of them, right, that they could use.
Yep. Absolutely, it's very, very viable. I don't know if they can scout that well.
They're going
enough in
graveyard
time.
side, yeah.
They might be able to work that out eventually, but someone could easily take that away from them. The team that I'm also going to be looking at now is Airstation Mike, because, well, Minas Generales was their kind of starting point, so they've not had to go too far in this. That's where they had that big split kind of surrounding the entire area. So for them, they've got, it looks like, I don't know if it's a 3-1 split or what's going on with them, because they do have just ToWzErA left down by the kind of ridgeline or the hillside of Minas Generales, which is the kind of overlook. So he's going to be joining the rest. Yeah, so ToWzERA's joined up with the others, slap bang in the middle, ELGIGANTEN over to their east, and you look on the outskirts, ENCE, bit of a 2-2 themselves, bit of a split up here for them, holding back PG-18 if they want to try and come in on that southeastern road, but then again, you have Trainhard just north of them, so there's no easy positioning here. Oh, wait, where does Tempest go in this one? I'm looking to see where they're heading. They've got a very wide swing. Northwest is where they're coming into, where already there's a lot of teams here. Tornado Energy is one of them. DA were down there. I'm not sure if I like this rotation.
Bearing in mind where they could have been, right? They could have gone into Minas Generales quite safe, or just on the outskirts of Minas Generales and watched it all play out, but they are in a risky spot right next to Tornado Energy there. Joker's losing their third man, so Moon now the last man standing for them, and they are the only 3 players that have died in the entire lobby so far, and it's all Joker's players. GamerLegion, where the hell are they going? They're actually going around El Azahar right now. They've gone that far in the east. They're rotating around. I guess if you keep rotating long enough, you might survive. Still there's 8 teams left. I don't know what the plan is right now.
Yeah, I don't like this rotation from them, if I'm completely honest. Bit of a spray here, but...
So the theory craft is, obviously what they've gone with is, it was a south plane route. Let's swing around to the north. There'll be no one there. The problem is that everybody has done that now. Tempest, they're going to crash into last group.
Yeah, they're heading right through, but they've got a lot of fire coming out from Tornado Energy. That was already beginning. Wookie Bookie's been lost. This is a big engagement in the northwest. Let's have a little look to see what's been going on over here. As it looks like they're trying to swing north, look south. Their rotation got cut off at the heels. PG-18 are going down. That I thought it was going to be ENCE diving in on that, and they might get some of the flushes. It's not the case. You've got ELGIGANTEN joining in on that fight, and PG-18 are being slaughtered.
Yeah, they're gone. There's barely anything left. Oh my word, that circle. Yoink again, this time to the northwest. What in the world? And DA up dead center.
DA circle positioning. It's beautiful.
Oh my word.
And I do consider now, of course, that it's likely to move away from towns. It feels like that was the case before, and that would be the optimal area. It makes sense that it would go towards this side. So maybe a worthwhile attempt from Tempest. It kind of makes some sort of sense in that regard that they'd try and vie for that. But again, a little too late to the punch in my mind, and PG-18 goes out in last. My word, these boys are having a disaster of a promotion. Sadovnik going to find Quizzy from Unity. It's a bit of a scuffle here. ABeautflDeath finds Klib from Tempest. That's again in the northwest, fighting out for those prime territory positions. But overall, again, PG-18, this is not good enough.
No, and I got a question that Tempest rotate is, I mean, the theory was there, right? Yeah. I understand what they were going with, but that has not worked. GamerLegion are in the same situation. It's not worked out very well for them. They've pulled up on Unity at the moment. They have got Snoopy down. Maccandark has been dropped himself. Orange will get himself in the shack. But Fexx might be able to flush out. That molly hasn't caught on Maccandark, so he's safe for now. For now, back in Minas Generales, down the south side. Inside Gaming, they were on the little crossroads position. They've decided they have to push up on Minas Generales here, up on the top ledge of it. And it's not an easy push with Northern Lights already in position.
Yeah, they should be able to hold this down. I'm not sure if those... It depends on the angles they can hold here. I'm a little worried about Spyro. He seems terrified of one side. The smoke's keeping him safe, I guess you could argue. Fexx here for GamerLegion back up in the northeast. In between a rock and a hard place. He has 7 coming in from this side. You've got Unity and the Jokers. A lot of scrappy teams left to try and get any slice of the pie. And this is the kind of end scenario with Northern Lights coming down with IG.
Yeah, 7 catching them off there. So they managed to get one of GL down. Meanwhile, down the southeastern side, there's also a 3-way clash. Trainhard, ELGIGANTEN, etc. Jokey has the last man standing. The Jokers, he's going to go down. Moon will be finished. Sadovnik finds another. 7 are benefiting from this quite well at the moment. Their aim skills are working out for them. They're collecting quite a few points.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Airstation Mike are chomping at the bit as well. They know these teams are going to be forced towards them eventually. Annie just got caught out. Flushed. Unity have gone down. That's Snoopy and Orange being pushed aside in the northeastern region. But they all have to move in. All of those teams in the northeast have to move forward.
Fexx Payne making it work. He's got Edelweiss down. Hamster and Fexx, the last two standing, I believe, and they've got 7 out in the blue here. This could work out well, but that's the nade that's going to catch Fexx down. 7 for Sadovnik, and so far it's looking good for them. They're going to head towards the south side and avoid Hamster. Hamster still might be able to catch them in the back. We'll see whether it works out for them. Meanwhile, ELGIGANTEN and Trainhard clashing. This is over on the far eastern side. ENCE just coming in down south of this as well, so they might get drawn into this fight.
Yeah, it could be a possibility. I don't know if it's going to actually happen yet. I think they're kind of looking this way. They're getting drawn in by, enamored by the idea. And well, they got the knock on solo, but the flush goes to ELGIGANTEN. So points towards them, not the other way around. Trainhard trying so hard to get that vehicle to blow up. KnorkiS trying to make something happen before he goes down. The blue is devastating, but so's that aim. Instantly tames one, but it feels like it's all for nothing here.
We've just lost 20 players in that single phase. That's insane.
That's a hard
how
shift.
quick that shifted. Yeah, that hard shift worked out well. Now it sent us up a little bit more. DA obviously looking golden for them. Don't forget Tempest, they do still have bjorN in there, so he's managed to survive, but Tornado Energy with that big compound on the western side are in a really safe spot. Last crew got to work towards them in the north, but down here in the southeast, it is horrible. Northern Lights, ENCE, ELGIGANTEN, Airstation Mike. Airstation Mike are the gatekeepers right now.
We need ENCE to go full Finn mode on this and just frag out, and Squeaky's done that. ELGIGANTEN just got murdered. Down in 10th and on they go. ENCE need to be quick because Northern Lights are on their heels and Squeaky is under fire. Yeah,
and he's in the open. He's got nowhere to go. The 3 players, his 3 teammates are down low, but he's been left there. Nobody was giving him cover fire, so he managed to get picked off by Spyro, and now he's out by the blue, so he is gone. He was the savior, took down ELGIGANTEN to save the rest of his team, but they couldn't offer the same protection that he required. 7, 2 players left for them. Sadovnik and Buster making a run for it as they get tracked down by QuickMath on the far northeast of the circle, and last crew, they've managed to send it. They've got across in safely.
They have. Airstation Mike seems like the final boss for ENCE. If they get any closer, they're probably going to be with Envision. Same with Northern Lights, wondering where the attention goes. Can't look aside DA. They're still center circle. They're still holding on to this. And Tornado Energy, quiet, but definitely in position. Squeaky does bleed out, does go down to the blue eventually. Not surprising, unrecoverable.
So Airstation Mike, really the team to watch. Buster is just keeping a glimpse on QuickMath in the distance. They should, actually, I was about to say they should get in close, but I think bjorFlDeath and mert, yeah, they've got our vision on them here. So DA are being proactive in the center position. It's great. You put DA, they're not in a compound, they will pop off. But if they're sat in a compound, they'll just sit there. I don't know what it is. It's like they're turtles. Once they're in their shell, they're happy. But once they're out of it, they're like little vicious creatures.
Little vicious creatures. They might just be that at this point because, honestly...
Who's a bjorFlDeath shooting? There's no one there.
No one knows. Maybe it's a map bug. Let's assume that.
I'm going to go with that.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe he thought he saw someone in the blue. Who knows? QuickMath's on the move up. They're going to leapfrog ahead. And actually, that's a way in for Sadovnik. Might not be a bad shout for him, considering he's playing survival mode right now. Just going to go full DA, find a shack, and hunker down. ENCE pulling the DA, hits prone. It's almost like other teams do this. Wild things. ENCE still a 3.
If they just peered over the ledge, I don't know whether they can, because Airstation might have the angle on them. But if they peered over the ledge, they're going to see all the QuickMath, and their Finnish brethren will just get easily slaughtered. I don't know whether ENCE realize that. If they just look down to below them, they will see them completely.
Yeah, so there's a couple of kind of set lines of battle here. The south is between Airstation Mike, Northern Lights, and ENCE, and then QuickMath.
Throw it that far, mate. Jesus.
People are very ambitious with their nades here. DA still maintains circle position. You do have Tornado Energy being able to hold the north side. The south side, I think maybe 1 or 2 teams can come out from this.
Is it just me, or have Airstation Mike sat in their shacks and just let Northern Lights completely rotate around them?
Yep.
They've just got... Why have they not at least sent 1 single scout out there to give them a position to move to in the next circle?
I think they're just so kind of encapsulated by the concept of getting past ENCE.
It's literally what we talked about at the start of the game, isn't it?
It is.
Teams not moving, not scouting, not thinking ahead.
Because sometimes you need that IGL to give you the call of, okay, well, we might be able to win this fight, but then we'll lose the position. Here comes the moves in the north as well. That's 2 teams now working forward. This could be Tempest losing their final player. 7 have gone down.
So Sadovnik just shot 1 from last crew, I think, and 1 from QuickMath. He's just like, bam, bam. It's just going off. He's gone down at last.
Oh my God,
but now entering all sorts of trouble. They're getting surrounded. bjorN here sat waiting. Ooh, just got shot there as well. I was going to say he must be able to strike on that one. That was a decent shot and tried to get the second down as well, but Jappy quickly responds. ENCE, they're in trouble. They're going to the grind, and Northern Lights, so have Airstation might completely pinned. They're not going to get out of that compound.
But do they get the points on ENCE at least? They've still got 0 kills here, so they really do need to make sure. No, that's just been stolen. Quick Math gets it. If this is the thing, you have
They're going to end up with one placement point right now.
Which is just not good enough. Northern Lights are there, and they've already put one player safely in the circle. I like that move from them. 3 men going on the hunt, 1 place position. Lock in Airstation Mike. ToWzErA has been a bit of an animal, though, individually. He has to be able to dig him out of a situation here. And, oh, Spyro's surely got him banged to rights. He does. Quick execution from above. Spyro backs away. And he's got support. This is a bad play from Airstation Mike.
And TRYFFELI's gone down, so they got nothing from ENCE. They got nothing from the ENCE fight either. They were sat encapsulated with. They've just sat in their holes and done nothing. Airstation Mike, you let me down here, boys. I want to see more from you. Digital Athletics still with all 4 alive, looking solid in this next circle. As Tornado Energy also on the north side, it's all about Airstation Mike right now. And basically, who can get the points off them? Quick Math are even coming in to look.
Look at these points, just racking them up. All the smoke's down, it doesn't seem to matter. I think only one standing, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone surrounding this. And I actually like the readjust from Perfect. He's going to be sitting to try and catch Quick Math as well. Lots of pressure now coming back in from these boys. 5 kills, looking for a lot more. Airstation Mike lose out on one of their players. That's a flush. They still have one standing, the man on your screen right now. He is in a world of trouble. 1 team to his right, 1 team to the left, and nowhere really to go.
I want to see what the desk have to say about that, because Airstation Mike were in such a good position for about 3 or 4 circles, but did nothing to move out of it in the just-in-case scenario. I'd love to hear what they have to say on that one. Meanwhile, Northern Lights wrapped around them, and again, they've done the same thing again. They've moved in perfectly for the next circle position. They've got themselves a player in there. Now DA are under pressure. BeautflDeath's little shack is about to get pushed. He's got Tornado Energy right on him, and there's Compot finding the head, and now it's going to be BeautflDeath done with. The rest of his team are on the far north side. So now it's going to be 4 for TE, 4 for Northern Lights still up on their feet. Quick Math with the 2. DA still have the 3 alive, but they have to deal with last crew just north of them.
Yeah, and a BeautflDeath was their backup plan on the circle position. Now they've lost that. They've lost complete information on the south. That's actually a big loss for them. Now, Northern Lights could come out of this really well. Quick Maths could tilt. It could still do some damage as well, even with just 3. Digger's on the look towards maybe catching Spyro in the heels or someone who he knows was over in this area.
Northern Lights are the proactive ones right now, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, they have to come over the brow of the hill right, and he goes right into Tornado Energy. Oh, Quick Math from behind, though. Digger with 5 kills and counting, and he just sees them all. He's got it's 2 target rich. He didn't know which one to go for. I know he manages to find one. Look at Spyro down, but instantly it's last crew that get him from the far north of the circle.
Can you believe that sort of length on the shot? That's wild. Spyro is bleeding out and fast. I think there's a potential for a revive here. DA now need to find a focused target and play to it. They do have Last Crew to deal with. They are the ones who are probably the most pressing scenario here. And Last Crew aren't being subtle. There's 2 of them left. But now Tornado Energy are starting to get a little curious as to what's going on in the north.
You could see him. He just couldn't get the kill down. Mert in the end will steal that one away. Now he turns on towards Northern Lights. So Mitraleius putting some work in, but now look at this. Rip's coming right over the top of him. Mitraleius sees him. Mert has been down, but he gets quick response on him. Mitraleius going aggressive. We'll manage to flush this one. Second man Jap's not going to peek.
Yeah, and you can see the scenario for DA. It's hard. They can't keep peeking that ridgeline because Northern Lights have that hillside. It's completely overbearing on them. SIXMO's in danger. He can't play to the ridgeline anymore. Rock in a hard play situation. They're praying that Tornado Energy deals with Northern Lights, and they're just not.
If this goes anywhere central or anything, it's going to obliterate Northern Lights. They've still got this rock in play, I think. This was the only thing that's keeping them alive right now, this single rock area. Because look at the downhill slope they'd have to go down if it pulled anywhere away from that spot.
Compot's going for a run. I like this. Using the low ground of the hill, just occluding
vision. He's just
vision.
going for the crate. He's going for the crate.
And why not? He can get upgrades and then just keep holding this line. He can be the next jump-off point if he wants to be. Really nice work from him.
He gets that tree on the right. He's going to have a clear flank angle on them all.
It's going to force Northern Lights to be uncomfortable. That's the whole point here, and that's not a bad play. If he can hold this, I'd really love to see it. Not sure what he's got to work with. Doesn't go for the Groza.
Yeah.
Don't know if he's got some more range. He's got the mini on the back. Not going to use it.
No, he's spotted down there. So hasn't his chance to move off to... He could have shimmied off to the left and got himself a perfect off angle. When Ariak manages to get the shot on him straight away, the headshot down, that buys him all the time. And now they can move on this. Example and Compot, they're pushing up. Mert's pushing up the other side. Everybody's moving on Northern Lights.
Really nice work from Mert. He sees the time to go, and he's done it. He's moved up for circle positioning. Again, leaving 2 to take the fight in the north. He moves over. Compot's nade is good. Northern Lights back to the blue, not looking so scary, but that is a scary gun to come over the ridge against. They hear it going off. The spray continues. Mitraleius holds ground and gets the job done. It's time to move on. DA keeping 3 standing still.
Yeah, Mert's stayed quiet as well on the other side, so he hasn't given his position away, the fact that he moved up. And now SIXMO and Mitraleius are free in the north. And I think Tornado Energy have realized that. They've backed away. The nades didn't really work on Northern Lights. Northern Lights got 4 back on their feet as well. So it's a 4-4 and a 3, and that's a good shot from Example.
Oof, that is a quick turn as well, being kept on his toes by just about everyone. Tornado Energy still finding fire as Northern Lights do descend from the hillside, trying to run down who gets the point. Compot's there to get the flush going. Mert finds one, though. This is DA putting up the fight, but SIXMO's down, the IGL, the captain, trying to keep everyone together. Example tries to push forward towards a centralized spot, but this gets them surrounded.
Yeah, they do have a good spot and a good ridge to fall back on as well. Tornado Energy here, but if DA can get SIXMO back up, which Mitraleius is doing right now, it will give them a problem on both flanks. They have to deal with one side. At the moment, Northern Lights coming from the side, but they are kind of fighting one another. Mitraleius will get Mailman down. That was the central point position. Quick response comes in. Actually, I think it was Northern Lights that caught Mert there, and Mitraleius, they take the damage. Mert gets him down. That's deep dealt with. Spyro's the last man for Northern Lights. Tornado Energy are trying to push on that one, and they will deal with him. No! Mailman gets dropped. Tornado Energy are falling left and right.
There's only 3 standing, and DA have a bit of a shot. Nice work from Compot. What a big denial on Mert there. Now it's down to Mitraleius and SIXMO. Mitraleius has been a huge influence, but these shots are sublime from Tornado Energy. 7 kills, and it looked like it could be 8 pretty soon.
Mitraleius, the last man standing. It is all done. He is in a 1v3. Tries to find the angle. Example comes in. Aliak's there as well. Tornado Energy finally deliver. This was the team that went into the Phase 2 promos as a real big favorite. They didn't really kick on in the contenders throughout Phase 3, but they're here and they're in with a shout once again.
Yeah, and actually for me, I think I saw something that really stood out to me. Someone in chat was discussing, why are we so harsh towards Airstation Mike for, being passive, but DA were doing the same thing. And I'd love the desk to break down the difference in when to play passive, when to play circle position, and what happened with Airstation Mike, and the difference in what approach there, because DA got to the last 2. And honestly, I thought they might have won that one, because right in the middle, Tornado Energy was surrounded on both fronts.
They had the moments. There was a couple of chances for them, but it didn't quite work out for them. We can see Paul, he's down with Tornado Energy. Let's see what they have to say.
Compot, well done. Congratulations. That was much better. Why? Why is it better today?
We're working on our gameplay, so we viewed last day and fixed our mistakes.
And you did all that last night?
Yeah.
Okay. And worked straight away?
Yeah.
What was the key for that last bit? Because it was very tactical, wasn't it? Very tactical between the last 3 teams. What was the key part for you? Was it the crate?
Yep. We tried to control all zone, all the zone. So look at this. Look at this map. That was not hard, but not easy.
All right, well done. Tornado are the winners here of our first game of the day, and we'll wish them good luck as we go through. 4 more to come, of course, still here on day number 2.
Tornado Energy takes the chicken dinner, and before we talk about that win, I want to talk about digital athletics. Gents, are they turtles or vicious animals? Let's settle this now.
Look, this is a typical DA playstyle. They want to go center, they want to hide a little bit, and then they come out when it's time. And we saw them. They came out pretty late. I think it was Circle 7 they started to actually make some moves. But before that, they were kind of just sitting there. 3 guys in the shack. They had 1 outside. I think it was a BeautflDeath. That was like somewhere else, a little bit south of the others. Just making sure, hey, if I die, someone's coming towards us.
Let's be fair. I think DA in this lobby has the top 3 best macro rotations, like by far. they're so aware of the map, they're so aware of how the circles work, they're so aware of overall all the phases where they should be, and they end up every time, phase 4 or 5, close to the center. I want to see them more aggressive though, because we know they're capable of. We remember that Miramar game in phase 3 where they had like 15 plus games.
They were playing edge that game.
They were playing edge, I know, but if you manage to get center in phase 4, you start fragging out in phase 4 in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, if they went a little bit north of that shack instead, took the high ground, they could have had as much control as possible, and they would get a lot of kills instead.
They should have cleared out last crew a little bit earlier. If they came out of the shack, cleared last crew maybe 1 to 2 circles earlier, they would have had the whole northern side, and they could literally shot at everybody at that point.
At the same time, we can't take anything away from them. They got themselves a second place. They got a few kills. It was a good game for them.
It was a good game, but you were saying if they're a bit more aggressive, that map awareness together will work in their favor.
We know they have the aggression. I just want to see it combined with their macro rotations. If we take the Miramar game we saw where they're playing edge, where they're playing extremely aggressive, they had a lot of kills, combine that with their macro rotations, those two combined, that will make them top 4 in this lobby.
I mean, basically right now they're playing a old meta that we had.
Yeah.
When placement points were worth much more. And we would see them do this and it would get a lot of placement points. Nowadays, we got more points on the kills though. So we want to see them being more aggressive because we know that they're really good on finding those rotations down to the center, and then they just don't do anything, sadly.
We can see our chicken dinner winners now on the screen. Tornado Energy, impressive play from them. D-Man mentioned it, phase 2 promos, everyone marked them as one of the favorites. They didn't show up. Yesterday, I didn't think that they really showed up. We saw a few moments. Today, though, it seems like they came out fighting.
Fair enough. Like they've been on the cusp. They're sitting 5th on the leaderboards before this. I want to touch on, before I delve into Tornado Energy, though, I want to touch a bit upon Airstation Mine. They're on edge. D-Man asked us to elaborate a little bit.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. And to be fair, I think what D-Man said is they were too passive in a too strong position. The problem, though, is that specific compound is extremely hard to defend because you have a high ground above it it's like a perfect third-party place. If you don't control that yourself, it's impossible to keep the compounds as well. So you have to play a 2-2 split with that high ground, and if you're standing at that high ground, then you're gonna have your backs coming in. So there were 3 teams coming like from both sides, both the low ground and the other position on the northern side and the southern side, which made it extremely hard for Airstation Mike to do anything proactively, but they had to take more control if they want to come out with more points than this.
And basically what they wanted to do was they didn't want to go into the circle too early. They want to make sure that the backs are clear, because if it's not clear, as Avenger said, it's an uphill there, and you're going to get shot in back. And they knew that ENCE was east of them because they were having a fight earlier. So they knew that they wanted to take out ENCE before they make a move, but sadly, by the time they made a move, took out ENCE, it was already too late. Northern Lights already took a position on top of them.
We spoke about Airstation Mike at the start of the show where we said they were a little bit panicked yesterday, made some silly mistakes. Same thing happening here. Land jitters maybe, new for them.
I think so. I want to see them more proactive. I don't want to see these last-second calls. I want to see them steadily, progressively moving in, doing something proactive, but not over-aggressive.
Plan ahead, making sure you have one move ahead of you. What are we going to do? Worst-case scenario. If we get stuck here, how do we get out of here?
You mentioned proactive. For me, Northern Lights, they're so good, and they're in a good position, and then they're aggressive for a little bit, but I almost feel like they're doubting themselves in some of the fights.
They had to hold back a little bit because they know how important it is to keep 4 players alive, and you can see how important it is for them. As soon as they take damage, they either go back, and as soon as you see a knock, they try to get that 4th member up again so you don't get that flush, which is obviously, it's nice to see that. They were also a bit unlucky. They were held down, kind of. They had a very small slice of the cheesecake in the northern side, and there was high ground. And as soon as they didn't have that anymore, they're going to get shut down.
Tornado Energy, Chicken.
Yeah.
We've got to get back to them because they were the chicken dinner winners. Yesterday, okay performance. Today, though, this win, we've spoken about the snowball effect. Is this what they needed?
I hope so. I mean, for me, Tornado Energy is kind of one of the teams that I expect to be in the top 5. I think they have the potential to be there. They have Example in the team. He's an amazing player. He won Global Loot League Season 2 finals with M19 back in the day. Showed some of the most impressive mechanical skill we've seen in a long time. He's been gone from the scene a little time. I like to see him, before they started playing, he started playing in Contenders again, but now he's back. I want to see him continue fragging out.
And I mean, we saw them in this game, how they were controlling the west side there. They were basically playing for that control all the time. One little mistake they did was that they took 2 fights at the same time towards the end there. They fought DA and they fought NLT at the same time. That could have brought them down because you don't want to split 2 fights at the same time. You want to focus on one, finish the one off, and then move on to the other one. But they managed, and it was really good.
It's the start of the day, though. We got 4 more games, so let's see how this goes. It's all about learning a little bit about some of the top teams from Contenders, but also reminding you about our PEL team. So let's find out a little bit more about GamerLegion.